Well, hello out there, and welcome back to Transformation Decoded. Today, we're going to talk about what the hell happened in the last 12 months. Stick around, and we're going to share it all with you. Hi, my name is Isabel Banerjee, and I'm one of the three founders of Transformation Decoded. And we are here today to share with you what the hell has happened in the last 12 months. The inspiration for today's topic is that this is my birthday month. Yet another year of my life, a revolution around the sun has passed, and it's also the anniversary or the first a book anniversary for me because I became a published author in September last year. And I have the privilege today of sharing this conversation with two of my mastermind partners, my cohorts in crime, and also they contributed their time and their wisdom to this book, each of them with an exciting chapter that I'll let them share a little bit about personally. But seriously, life is going by at an accelerated speed. I don't know if it was Robin Sharma or if it was Tony Robbins or one of these other wonderful information gurus, but I remember specifically a quote that whoever he was, said that most people overestimate what they can get done in 1 year, but most people underestimate what they can accomplish in 3 years. And yeah, does that resemble does that remark resemble you, Lee? I saw that
Yeah,
twig.
well, actually, I think I was with you. I think it was Tony Robbins when we
Okay,
went to see him in the last year.
in the last year. See what else has happened. So a lot has happened, and notwithstanding what's happened globally for us all, and that's the impact of COVID-19 and working from home and learning a lot about ourselves. But, I was reminded very strongly of how much has been going on. A few weeks ago, I felt very overwhelmed when I looked at the number of projects that I had in front of me and the number of commitments that I had made to other people about stuff that I said I wanted to do, and they were supporting me and waiting on me to get those things done. And I had a whole table covered with different piles of work that I was supposed to do, and I just got so discouraged. Absolutely deflated me and just stopped me in my tracks. And I thought, I'm just going to go find a bottle of wine and a palm tree. And I allowed myself to have that little fantasy for about 45 seconds and then thought, no, I can't. I have responsibilities. And after all, this was my dream to do these things. So I thought, well, gosh, I must have been doing something in the past year. I mean, really, I must find a way to feel good about myself and to validate or make me feel like I've accomplished some things, even though I'm overwhelmed by what I have not finished yet. So I started to make a list. I got out my handy thought download journal, thanks to my partner Jackie, who sent that to me. And I started to write, thinking back from September 2019, the courses that I had taken and completed, the products that I had visioned, created, and put out into the world, or started to put out into the world, the collaborations and the relationships that I've initiated and nurtured and am really, enjoying now, and the personal, you know, to-do lists that I had accomplished. And I just was just flowing along. And the more that I did that, the better I felt and my spirits were raised. And I thought, well, I'm not a complete muck up, look at, I have all done all of these things. And yes, it's true that some of these things have created the other things that are laid out into those piles. As an entrepreneur, and I know that you, Jackie, and you, Lee, share the same journey with me. It is a hazard of the profession, and that is to always be reaching forward and looking for what's the next thing that we need to do and accomplish. And in fact, in our very recent episode of Transformation Decoded, we had a really great conversation around achievement versus fulfillment. So I encourage you to go on YouTube and look up that last episode because, um, yeah, we revealed a lot there. So today, I just wanted to talk a little bit about my own process of thinking, reflecting back, as I said, as an entrepreneur, as a high achiever, as all of the above self-created chaos, I'm generally pushing forward and trying to do the next thing. But I do know that it is very wise to stop, not drop and roll, but to pause and look back and see how far from the shore you have come, and to give yourself some credit, well deserved praise for that. Also, reflect on where it made sense to adjust course and not do some things, which we have shared also in a previous episode of Transformation Decoded. Um, no is a complete sentence. So I encourage you to explore that as well. So that's kind of my summary. I am moving forward now based on the foundation that I've laid in the last 12 months. I am building online programs with the Encore Academy and collaborating with other women entrepreneurs and wise women who want to share their talents and their gifts. I know that I want to write another book, and I've started to process and percolate that. And I know that I will continue to do personal development and self-assessment and evaluation, and that is the beginning of my next 12 months. Those are the things that I have on my list. So now I'd like to take this opportunity to talk a few minutes with you, Jackie, and then you, Lee, and say, what the heck's been going on for you, Jackie, in the last 12 months?
Awesome. Yeah. Wow. Well, the book is amazing, but the process of being involved in it and then having it published and then reading through it and really reflecting on the title, which of course is Who Am I Now? And that's a question, especially as women, I believe that we ask a lot, even if it's not consciously that we're asking it. And my contribution, my chapter is entitled Comparanoia. And I believe that most all of us suffer from it or have at some point. And social media has done nothing but, accelerate the problem of us scrolling the Instagram feed and comparing our B-roll to everybody else's A-roll and thinking, why me? What do I have to offer? Who's going to listen to me? Who do I think I am? All those little, limiting beliefs that sit on our shoulders and whisper to us and derail us. And so just the process of writing the chapter and getting all of that out of me, the thoughts from being bullied from 5th grade on, just mean girl stuff, all of the different things that I realized in writing it and then reading it and then asking myself, who am I now? And who do I want to become? And then taking that a step further of saying, who do I serve? How do I serve them? And why am I playing so small as to limit myself through comparanoia, to let a little voice from the past that's basically a made up story, even if it's something that truly happened, to continue to bring it into the future is a lie. It's a lie that I'm telling myself over and over again. And whose growth beyond just my own am I stunting by being stuck in this story and thinking my stuff isn't good enough? All of us have so many gifts and talents, and all of us have somebody who's waiting to get that message. So I got into gear too. I took all of the ideas that I've been writing down, for years, really and truly, so many of them repetitious. I took those and I put it into a layout to launch the Street Smart Wealth Academy, and to do it scared, to do it uncertain, and to do it despite any and all of that. So I wrote out an outline. I stuck mostly to it. I tweaked it a little bit as I needed to, but I got it done. And then when I got it done and went back through to review it, it was damn good, if I do say so myself. And I realized that all these years of comparanoia have done nothing but keep me stuck, playing small, and have served no one. So that's been a big part of mine, is taking a look at that and saying, I don't want that to continue to be my story. And I choose to no longer allow that to be my story. So I see the next year only being bigger and better, because when I start feeling that comparanoia, which it still creeps in, I ask myself, is this true? How do I know it's true? And who would I be if I didn't believe that about myself? And that's the work from Byron Katie, by the way. I don't own that, but I use that process to work myself through it.
Hashtag do it scared.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. I feel breathless and exhilarated just thinking of everything that you've done in this past year, Jackie, and bravo for you for putting it out there to other women that recognize comparanoia and, tame it, use it to accelerate you forward. Now, Lee, I know that you've recently become a grandparent, but I also know that you haven't just been sitting in a rocking chair crocheting booties in the past 12 months. What the heck's been going on with you, girl?
Yeah, it's actually just sitting and listening to both of you I had thought through it, but listening to you, my brain start to feed off what you were saying. And it's like, oh yeah. And there's kind of like this BC, before COVID, in AC, after COVID, time. And I started to realize that like my attention had come so far off of kind of the before COVID time, because it seems like it started like a new stopwatch, but in reality, it didn't. And so I thought back to your book launch, and, sitting around and sharing stories and the excitement, of the launch, and how different even socially that felt. And that was fun just to reminisce on that. And I think for me, contributing to the book, which I contributed a chapter called Unapologetically Beautiful, is probably one of the first times I really openly talked about. I never shied away from sharing my history with eating disorders and depression, but I've never openly kind of just put it out there, to have it out there for anyone to kind of have access to. So, and I think that really started a process for me of thinking about, where was I at on that journey, of fully, coming through that hole of where am I at with how I feel about my body, how I feel about my appearance, my beauty. And it tied very heavily, of course, into my business, Woman in Disguise,
Yeah.
and being a woman's kind of beauty product. And I'd always loved that idea, a transformation, that wigs brought to women, which is why I started that business. I wanted to kind of bottle that, and writing that story and putting that out helped me realize that perhaps the business I built, which as fun as it was to build it, wasn't the business I was intended to build. And so I'd say one of the biggest changes is that I've actually made the decision to, take my e-commerce part, retail, online retail business, that was Woman in Disguise, and actually shut that down. And did that in decision kind of made in May, final actions kind of taken in July of this year. So that was obviously a huge change for me, and it goes with all those stories of why am I doing this, And there was a lot of ego in there. Like, and once I let the ego go, such an easy decision, but it was like, I have to do this. I have to have this. I said I was going to do this. Left this great career to go build this business. And this is what I said I was going to do. And so obviously, Jackie, paranoia comes into there and all the other crap we talk about on our transformation decoded, times together. And so that's been just huge for me, and making that decision. And I think the same power that came with voicing that story and putting it out there, making that decision and owning it and just saying, hey, I'm shutting that down. It's not serving me anymore, has just like lifted weight off of me. And so that's probably been the biggest change, where I've just said, I'm just not doing things that don't serve me. I have a lower tolerance level for it. Certainly doesn't mean I still don't have all kinds of baggage that I don't need to unload. But I think I've just in the last year kind of said, wait, what am I carrying around, and really questioning that. And that's led to me coming up this year. I have started a book, and it really started from that chapter, and saying, I want to share that story more fully. And I want to take away the shame and stigma for anyone, but in particular women who suffer from, eating disorder and depression. And I don't think I'm alone in my story that those two things went hand in hand. So I want to share that story more openly. And then I'm pivoting and retooling my business, and it's going to be, about what really feeds my soul, which is helping women really rediscover our innate essence, beauty. And so I'm really excited and I'm in the midst of all that. And I really do accredit a lot of that with putting those words to the page, Isabel, and having you validate that experience I had, which was that was very scary when I sent that to you. And then when you're like, it's published, like, holy shit. So that was really, it's been a big year. And really most of it has nothing to do with COVID, to be honest. When I think about the real big earth shaking stuff, COVID's given me opportunities to think about things and dive into things. But when I really think about what my last year's been made of, it's like, no, it was beyond that, bigger than the COVID situation. So, and I'm excited for the next year.
Thank you, both of you. I was just thinking about the fact that, perhaps other individuals would have a more scripted and rehearsed, planned script for their show, but this is, if you haven't already figured it out, very raw, very spontaneous, very much from what we get in the energy and bouncing conversations off of each other. And so I was like, as you're talking, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, you know what? You both became a grandmother this year. You both had spouses retire recently. You both have done significant retooling, rethinking of businesses and produced huge amount of value for the world. Well, then, except for being a grandmother again, I already got you beat. I've got 9. That's what we're doing. And some might suggest that, maybe the catalyst for doing so much is that COVID forced us to stay home, and have much more time to feel like we should be productive, because that's the high achiever, curse and gift, right? But also that, you know what? I challenge you that if we went back and reflected year before that and year before that and year before that, we would be stunned how much we and women like us do every single year, and how much change we absorb. In fact, we say, hell, bring it on, right? And Jackie, I love that do it scared anyway, because that's the hallmark of transformation, right? You don't know what kind of butterfly it's going to be, but you feel like we don't have a choice. We're compelled to do it anyway. Well, we have a choice. We made the choice. Just like they say, choosing not to do anything is a choice. But we're choosing to do things, and we're choosing to try things that we've never done before. And we're choosing to fuck it up with all intensity and take it apart and rebuild it and reconstruct it, right? So Jackie, I see a knowing look on that face. What was going through your mind there?
Oh, just, really just summing it all up. I mean, again, listening to both of you and thinking about my own story, um, and thinking about the last episode of achievement versus fulfillment, and just knowing my own personality type of really being guilty of always wanting to put the best face forward, the best look forward, not even necessarily a physical look, but just in terms of, I've got it together, I'm wired tight and things are good, and just charging through. It's kind of like never let them see you sweat, and a lot of that. And I've really learned over the past year that your true power is in your vulnerability, and your true power is in your willingness to share your story and your messiness, which all of us have.
Right.
And when you release yourself, I'm talking to me, when I release myself to be imperfect, to be flawed, um, and yet striving and growing and learning and willing to put it out there, I will attract those people who are looking to do the same thing. And in that, I give them permission that it's okay. You don't have to have it all together all the time. You don't have to know every single thing. None of us do. Life is 50-50, day in and day out. You can start off great in the morning and end up in the muck by the evening. And sometimes it's every hour. Your mood may shift in the way you feel about things. But, sticking with the whole, I choose peace versus happiness, that's a big part of it. And so it's getting in there, and it's doing it anyway, doing it scared, and knowing that
Like
in the
that.
end, it all turns out as it should.
Now, if anyone out there listening has any doubts about being stuck in the muck, what that really means, we have an episode about that too. And it's another really great episode where we really get down and dirty and talk about what it's like to be stuck in the muck and how you get yourself out, right? I don't want to misconstrue that all we are is driving forward on business and working on the next idea or the next improvement in our business. Um, we are much more whole as individuals, and I know that. Lee, could you share some of the ways that that shows up in the activities that you've done in the past year and years before?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's so I've always thought of myself as a businesswoman, and had that successful career. An entrepreneur was like, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to be a small business owner. And actually, it's been funny because over the last year, you guys know this, I say this, I've been on this spiritual journey, which I think is just another word for finding ourselves, right? And finding our connection to whatever our passion, purpose. And
That.
so for me, spiritual journey fits well for that. But
Mhm.
and it's been really enlightening for me, because that was probably the kind of the last bit of shift for me, was he like kind of figuring out, like, I'm not just a businesswoman. I love it. There are things I love about it. But so actually, as I was setting up my new website on Kajabi, thank you, Jackie, for that. But it asks you, do you consider yourself an entrepreneur, a teacher, lead? Have these little things. And I was automatically going to go hit entrepreneur. And I was like, no, I don't want to be that. It's nothing wrong with being an entrepreneur. It doesn't
Mhm.
fit where I'm at right now, because this is what I'm doing right now in this phase of my life is not about business for me. And maybe that's because I have a different view of business, but it comes from a very different place for me. So I put teacher. And that was just a really, and this is only a couple
Very
weeks,
good.
2 weeks ago, that I was like, oh, wow. So I think, it's about finding your purpose. And sometimes business comes into that and sometimes it doesn't. But so for me, that's what the last year has really provided a great opportunity to do, is figure out, what am I really about, and what do I want to be, and who am I right this minute? And we talk a lot about that. Like, when everything falls away right now,
Mm.
if everything were to go, who am I right now? Going back to your book name, right? And Jackie, what you said, we all, who am I, but right this moment.
I'm not
Yeah.
kidding. This was what opened it, took the lid off of it for so many women, was that we all have been asking inwardly that question, who am I now? And feeling, I can't speak for everybody, but the majority of the people women I talk to, feeling embarrassed about the inability to answer that question with certainty. I'd like to go back to what you said, Lee, about being a teacher, because I think this is like, wow, talk about the 50-50, Jackie, right? You can't be the teacher of anything unless you've been the student of it, right?
Yeah.
And as the student, then you are able to teach others. And that supports my mantra, lift as you climb. And if we don't allow ourselves that free flow between student and teacher constantly, it's like a homogenous part of us, then that's when I think we stop growing as an individual. And we certainly, I believe, would stop also creating value and having impact around us. Um, how does that relate to either one of you?
I mean, I'll just say it hits when you're saying that, because I've been thinking about, and this isn't about going into the past and about regrets, but I have thought about, if I was as comfortable as I am now in who I am, and really, like, I am, how different of a leader could I have been? And I happen to think I was a really
Mm,
good leader. But could I have handled my career without taking such a toll on me,
yeah.
from an energy wise, and gritting my teeth and and kind of getting to the point where, saying, wow, I have to choose between a career that looks like this and kind of being happy. So those are some of the things. And again, it's not in a negative, beat up way. I'm just saying, wow, like, what if I had gotten some of this perspective earlier in my life? Like, how could I have I applied that? So I'm thinking, and I'll go through another shift, but that's been very interesting for me to think back and say, wow, how would have things been different?
Cool. Jackie, teacher, student.
Yeah. Yeah, so I love that. And it's kind of funny, Lee, as you were saying that, checking the box of teacher and not entrepreneur, I was thinking to myself, teachers are entrepreneurs, especially right now. I mean,
Yeah.
so I think a lot of it is looking at how the definition that we put behind the word entrepreneur. Does that mean someone that makes a bazillion, gazillion dollars? No, not necessarily. It really isn't. Entrepreneur is about being a risk taker and being willing to try and test and do different things. And I don't say that in any way to take away the teacher role. I have contemplated that a number of times in my life too, just even titling myself. I mean, I call myself the CEO of Fun and Abundance. That's, kind of the title that I've put for myself on my website. I do consider myself an entrepreneur. I do consider myself a teacher. The word that more resonates with me right now, more than anything, is kind of mentor, which I feel is like kind of halfway between teacher and coach, because there are certain times with clients, especially, that you've got to be in teacher mode. There are certain skill sets and different things that it's not necessarily about coaching them to find it internally there, especially with some of what I do with social media and, certain aspects of that and technical pieces and all of that. But yeah, so it was interesting to me. It's like, well, why can't it be both? Why can't you be a teacher and an entrepreneur? But yes, certainly the student part of it. I know one of the things that I was taught way on is learn, learn, implement, teach. And it makes sense. So you learn something, you implement it yourself, and then you turn right around and you teach it to someone else. Because that not only ingrains it in your brain, it gives you data to work within and to become better and all of that. So I love the whole teacher concept. And being a student with my 6,000 plus dollars of saved at the public library in Scottsdale in less than 4 years.
Yep. Jackie is our library star. Absolutely. Best resource use. The award goes to. Well, so any closing thoughts that you'd like to leave here? We began talking about, wow, where did the last 12 months go and what's happened? But I guess what I do have is a question for you. Thinking back over the past 12 months, how are you changed by it? And I'll start with you, Lee.
Wow, that's I feel like I'm a very different person. Um, and I don't know how to put words to it. I'm more comfortable than I've ever been in my skin and in my being. I feel more connected than I've ever have felt connected to, my community and kind of the world and the universe. So I feel more grounded. And so I just, to me, I feel it feels very different because there was still a level of, I wasn't as grounded. That's what I'll say. Like, it's a very, like, I'm rooted in, and that's fun. It's enjoyable to be there. It doesn't mean don't get battered around. I have questions, but it's a little easier to kind of stay upright, I guess.
All right. It could be the willow now and you can flex with the wind, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Jackie, how would you summarize how different you are or how you've changed in the past 12 months?
What a year it's been for sure. And the last 6 months, without a doubt. I like Lee, I feel the same way. I feel more passion internally toward what I put into life, what I put into people, what I put into my time in general, what I put into my workout, I just feel more passion and more intentional planning and movement, if you will, into everything that I do. I just really feel intentional about that. I'm very grounded in my morning routine and my thought downloads and really doing mindset work continually. And I really do believe that's allowed me to so far exist without a lot of angst over what's going on and nervousness.
Right.
Certainly I have anxiety about certain things, like so many of us do, just the unknown, but life has always been an unknown. But I know for me moving forward, I want to remain in that space of not taking things for granted, and really being intentional and passionate about where I put my time and energy and with whom and doing what. And again, knowing how I'm called to serve, who I'm called to serve, and how I'm going to do that.
Um, wow. All right, so I'll ask myself the same question, and I think I can best explain it by this week I started watching a new series on Netflix with Hilary Swank. And the series is called Away, and she's an astronaut leading a team on a mission to Mars and spending time on Mars and coming back. And there is a scene where she steps out of the spacecraft um, onto the surface of the moon. This is, they've kind of done a refueling stop. Interesting, like there's a gas station on the moon as their part-way step to going on to the trip to Mars. And the expanse of the universe opens up in front of her. And that visually summarizes how I feel right now after this past 12 months. Uh, Learning with both of you, growing, doing it scared, and witnessing the birth of new opportunities and identifying more ways to collaborate with other women who want to do the same things. And it's like, wow, there is so much expansiveness and beauty and wonder available if we just take the shield up and take a look, right?
Yep.
So, with that, thank you, my Voyager partners. I would like to invite our listeners to please follow us, join us on our Facebook group, and we'll be communicating other thoughts that are bursting to get out of our heads, and also inviting you to submit topics for discussion and your feelings around the conversations that we've already had over these dozens of episodes. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and ring the little bell so you get notified when we put something up new. And even more important, as a woman helping other women, if the content of our episodes is resonating with you and you know someone else that would impact, please share the word about Transformation Decoded. And until we can be in person with you, we're going to keep on doing it virtually. And on that note, we will say bye until next week. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.